So what does gunpowder have to do with making a bad application and using it to kill people, turning bells into cannons? Well, there is a common link here. It all has to do with the wrong mentality. How many times have I said things will never change unless we change our mentality? We have the wrong mentality. We have an exchange mentality. We have this profit motive mentality. And we end up preying upon our own species. Now, what I find interesting when I study people like James Burke or anyone else who tries to connect the dots, and he does a good job of connecting the dots, or anyone else who tries to explain how the world works or offer solutions or anything like that, what I found is that if you don't have the most important piece of the puzzle, then you'll never really understand the answer to anything. One thing James Burke never pointed out in his series, he did 3 series that I'm aware of, 2 10-part series, Connections 1 and Connections 2, and then 1 10-part series, The Day the Universe Changed. But one thing I never noticed him ever really point out was the real effects of the fall of mankind. The first bad application. This is what we have to understand. This is what I try to emphasize in every one of my videos. If you don't think about this enough, you don't realize that almost every bad application we've ever made goes back to the first bad application. Cooking our food. Why? How? Well, we cook our food, we destroy one of our senses that changes our mentality. Now we have an exchange mentality. Now we have a profit motive. Now we're going to make applications to everything we invent to make more money on it. And that's how all inventions are. Everything we master, it takes a while to find more applications to things. So why are we making such bad applications? Why did the Chinese have gunpowder for over 700 years before the West got it? And why did the West use it as a weapon? Why did the Chinese invent so many things and yet they didn't make any bad applications the way we have made these bad applications? Well, they were pigeonholed, so yeah, that was part of it. But from what I understand, and I have to confess, I haven't researched this enough to speak too confidently on this, but in Daniel Reed's book, The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity, he explains that the ancient Taoists were basically raw foodists, or at least they knew about raw food, they knew about fasting. This is long before traditional Chinese medicine came along and they started treating symptoms. They knew the solution. They knew that we were all one. And that's the key right there. That's the problem with the West, and the East now too, is we don't understand that we're all one. We don't understand the ramifications from the fall of mankind. And once we make that first bad application, once we start cooking our food, then we master animals, make a bad application, start eating them. Then we have the agricultural revolution, make a bad application, start eating that. They could feed the horse those things, even though they're supposed to eat grass, but we shouldn't be eating them. Then what happens with the Industrial Revolution? Bad application, processed foods. Now the Chemical Revolution, the 5th thing we mastered, bad application. Let's grow our food on it. Let's spray our food with poisons. Why are we doing all these things? Why are we still at war today? When I was in high school, I thought that would be the end of war and I'd never see it anymore. I couldn't believe we had them in the past, and yet we're still having them. And now I understand why. Things are never going to change. We're going to keep having wars because people are going to try to break away from the powers that be, and they're going to go attack them, turn them into the bad guys, and then we won't learn from history and keep doing the same thing. So we got to wake up to this madness. We got to go back to the simple concept where we're all one. And the only way to do that is we got to change our mentality. And there's only one way to change our mentality. We got to correct the first bad application, cooking our food. And again, if you don't understand the raw food, cooked food perspective, you'll never make any sense out of anything you study, because you always got to factor in the first bad application, the fall of mankind, the thing that changed our mentality. And again, there's only one way to change our mentality. We got to correct the fall of mankind. Got to stop cooking our food. We got to have at least a minimal biophoton level, and I don't know what that's going to take. Maybe 90% raw, 80%, I don't know. Should it be 100? I'm sure once we reach the tipping point, no one's going to want to be below 100 because everyone's going to be doing this. But who knows how that's going to work? There's only one way for us to figure that out, and that is for us to keep doing what we're doing on the hero's journey, keep sharing this message, keep looking for people who are ready to hear the message. Please don't get discouraged. I know how disheartening it is to get excited about this knowledge and share it with people and them not to be ready for it. And the sad fact is a lot of people aren't. So see if they have the spiritual ears. See if you can get them to test an idea as time has come. Why? Well, you know why. It's a treat, my friends.